Welcome back to another edition of Tech Call. Don't forget to subscribe to Tech Call, the newsletter on FreightWaves.com if you haven't already. Today, we welcome back Joe Orr, Chief Operating Officer at the National Motor Freight Traffic Association, and Keith Peterson, the Director of Operations at the NMFTA. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I am excited about today, and I know I say that like every episode, I'm like excited about our topic, but this one I'm actually excited about as someone who formerly used ClassIT all the time. It's getting a facelift, it's getting an expansion. But before we get too far into that, Joe, we know your history with the NMFTA. Keith, can you just kind of give us a rundown on how you ended up at the NMFTA?
Sure. So I've been with the NMFTA about a year and a half now. Once Joe had become COO, he was looking for really a director of operations to lead the classification department. So he gave me a call, and it seemed like it was really quick, and I started working for the NMFTA. Prior to that, I was at Omnitrax Qualcomm as well, and I worked with Joe for a long time, actually.
So you could say it's just an evolution of all good things. You guys just, you travel as a pair, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Keith, I'm putting you on the spot again. Do you mind to kind of briefly break down the most recent NMFC changes and kind of what prompted these changes?
Yeah, so docket 2025-1 is what these big changes are really all wrapped up into. And I'll want to start by saying, too, that these aren't the end of the changes. This is just a really big chunk of them that we took at the start here. Now, dockets are usually about 15 or so proposals. This one's 99, so you can understand there's a lot in there. But I'll just really kind of break it down into about three main headings here. So number one is really density is the primary factor here. So while we do currently have an 11 sub full density scale, we're actually changing that to 13 sub, and any items that were already at full density are automatically changed over to 13 sub full density. We're adding in 50 and 55 class to allow for heavy, dense freight that couldn't be on that full density scale before. The second point, which I'm really excited about, is really condensing down the number of items that are in the book. And we're doing that by concentrating on the generic headings and taking any items within those generic headings that don't have handling, stowability, or liability issues and making them really one item with a long viz listing or a listing of different descriptive terms for it and making it full scale density. And so that affects about 2,000 some odd items in the book. So it's a really big change there. And then the third part for those items that do have handling, stowability, or liability issues, that was always kind of hard to find before. You had to look through the notes and kind of read through things. We're adding an indicator on each of those items that would clearly indicate that it has a handling, stowability, or liability issue. So there you go. In 3 points, 99 proposals affecting more than 2,000 items in the NMFC.
So you could say it's just like a real casual, cute little update, just something real small.
Yeah, something we thought of and just kind of, put together real quick over the course of a year. Yeah.
Yeah, just like a quick little impulsive moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you guys made all these changes, which arguably are going to be for the better, because I mean, let's be honest, in everything LTL, it's all about density. It's how dense is it versus the height, and everybody is on the hunt for that like perfect the whatever that they deem is like the perfect freight. And if it's not perfect, they probably won't take it. So Joe, we all love and adore ClassIT. And if you don't, you haven't gotten in enough fights about how things should be classified yet. So we all love ClassIT, but there's a new version of it coming out, was what I hear. Do you mind kind of breaking down what this new and improved Class IT Plus is and how it kind of makes it a little bit more user friendly?
Yeah, you had mentioned a facelift. It's probably more a bit of open heart surgery. We listened to what people really liked about Class IT Plus, and that was our North Star. And then we thought about, what's the ideal situation, and we looked at, what people are craving today, and it really is the Google like experience, um, where you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to know the book to be able to use classification. It needs to be intuitive. And so the first goal is to be able to sit down and have an intuitive application, to have a search that you don't have to know the classification terms, um, to have a search that is easy to understand. Also, most people use about 20% of the book. And so to be able to bookmark and share and things like that. So have common areas where you can put your comments. And so that's really what we did, is we designed something with expanded search, bookmarking, common areas. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is we really looked at the APIs. So much of this industry is machine to machine, APIs, bill of ladings and billing, and, people doing their own creative things. So we've got a really creative API stack. And we're already implementing, a little bit of AI, and next versions will have more, but it's all about speed, usability, and state of the art. So the tech stack that we used is geographically redundant, easy to use. The APIs have sub-second response times, but it's all about that user experience. So we really focus on the different personas and making sure that whether you're working in the dock or you're in the back office, or you're that person that uses Class IT every single day, and it like the back of the hand, and you tell everybody, hey, this is the code and I know my stuff and you're wrong, it's still that tool.
So you really weren't kidding when you said that it's just like a full gut open heart surgery. It's like when you take a house down to a studs, you guys really just gave it that full overhaul and just kind of made that improvement. I do like that feedback was kind of that North Star, and you kind of did it or made the updates closer to what people were wanting, instead of just going off on your own and saying, we think it should be this way, so we're doing it like this.
Yeah, it really was about going out to the docks and talking to people, and doing surveys and getting feedback. And it wasn't just carriers, it was shippers and brokers and everybody that utilizes the tool. And another thing we're doing different is we're doing a beta, and we're having a gap between beta and production. And we've met with a handful of beta customers already. And the thing we're saying is, hey, just don't tell us about the bugs. Tell us about the usability. And if we miss something, tell us. We build in time. We're going to make it better. Because again, it's all about that user experience.
I like that approach. That is something that I feel like not enough people really take advantage of. And I like that that's what you guys have chosen to do. It's pretty smart. Just really focus on the users, and then everything else will fall into place.
Exactly.
So, Keith, earlier you mentioned that there's just like a casual couple thousand commodities that are affected by this. What are there any specific commodities that are looking to kind of be the most at risk of having these changes and being completely different from what they're used to? Like, is there any one specific area that you're like, hey, if you ship a lot in this area, you're definitely going to want to recheck some of your stuff?
Well, the quick answer to that is no. it affects a lot of different types of commodities. But when you think about freight and how it's moved today here, uh, you think the majority of it, really the large majority of it, is moved on a pallet, it's in boxes, and that's how it's moved throughout the LTL system. So that's really when I think of the freight that's affected in my mind, I think of a pallet full of boxes that's shrink wrapped that might not have been full scale density before, because prior to this, we would always do a density study, then assign classes accordingly. Or it might have been a single class item because it is very dense and heavy freight and it just didn't fit on the full scale density scale. Um, Now, you know, with the 13 subs and adding in 50 and 55, it just opens it up to what might have been a single class or even a modified density scale item before. So again, it's going to, most of the freight that goes across these docks, the docks could be affected by either a new item number or possibly, if it wasn't full scale density before, having to figure out the density of this handling unit and assigning class appropriately. So
Okay, so it's kind of instead of it being more commodity focused, it's just a touch more on the density side of things.
it sure is. It sure is.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for several years now, we've been focusing on making density the primary characteristics when we look at freight. Really, this docket is just kind of taking that where, we were maybe looking at one item at a time before. We kind of switched around how we did that and just said we're trusting in what we've done so far, the research and everything. Just let's just move it to full scale density because there is no handling, stowability, or liability issues.
I actually like that as someone who has fought over what granola should be classified as. I think that that's an amazing improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of examples of those type of debates or fights out there. My favorite was a concert T-shirt. Is it advertising or is it clothing? Right. So that's always one of my favorites.
I would think it'd be clothing, wouldn't it?
Well, some people call it advertising because it's advertising a concert on there, a tour, I should say.
I mean, that makes sense, but I would be like, if I got an email saying this is advertising, I'd be like, you are out of your mind. This is wrong.
But what's nice about those type of debates and what we're doing now is you can maybe still debate about the item number by generic heading because possibly that, they probably haven't changed. You could probably still have that debate, but the actual class that would be assigned to a load event is likely going to be the same, both on the full scale density, you know, scale there.
Well, because that's the whole reason you have those conversations. Nobody's really fighting over the item. They're fighting over what the classification of it would be. Which, man, so many hours of my day I could have gotten back from this. So when it comes to all of these changes that are happening, I know you guys have been amazing about putting out content and like, hey, FYI, this is happening. If I have been living under a rock for the past few years and have no idea that this is happening, and I just wake up one day and everything's different, where can I go to find some of these resources to really kind of help me educate myself and then also maybe my shippers on how these classification changes are coming?
I would say start at nmfcchanges.com. That's got all of everything that we've done in the past year, any of our webinars, any kind of checklist that we put out for carriers, 3PLs, shippers to help prepare for these changes. It's got links to several of our other sites that we've put together as well here. One of them being getclassification.com, which is our lookup tool. And I want to make sure that, that was something that a member actually came to us with. We managed to put together pretty quickly actually, but it's been a really powerful tool for people to go to and find out, hey, is my item number changing? And if so, what is it changing to, and what's happening to it as far as the collapses? So that is just a great way for people to go out and get information. Joe, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think, what you agree spot on. So getclassification.com was something we created because people were saying, hey, I need to know what's changing in 2025-1 early. I'm a shipper or I'm a broker or I'm a carrier. I'm meeting with my shippers. And so we actually created it over a weekend, and it's a free tool. We don't charge for it. I mean, really what we want to do is educate people and reduce the friction between the shipper and the carrier. And so we thought, well, we'll probably have about 500 people register for this site. We launched it, and by the end, we launched it around 9 a.m. And by the end of the day, the first day, we had 1,000 people registered. And now we've got almost 6,000 people registered. We average, 40,000 people lookups a day, and it just shows people are paying attention. And then also on the NMFC changes, you can do everything from read the docket, but you can look at our past webinars. An average classification webinar before the changes, maybe we get 30 or 40 people. One of our last webinars had 500 people. And afterwards, we got so many questions, and they're good questions, that we said, hey, let's just do an ask webinar where people ask us questions. It's every time we get 500 people and we run out of time. So now we've expanded that. We do it every other week. And we do it for an hour. And I think every time it's going to sell out or, hit the peak of 500 people. And I think that's great. And the questions we get are very good questions. So we're going to continue to publish updates on that website. And it also has ClassIT Plus information on there, about our APIs, about our website. And so, no matter who you are, a shipper, a broker, or a carrier, it's got guidance for you, and it's focused on you. So if you're a shipper, it's got, here are the things I should be thinking about and the questions I should be asking.
First of all, that like maxing out a webinar, insane, literally insane. That is like in the coolest way of, you guys are like, that's how you know you really are on the pulse of everything, and you're kind of meeting people where they're at. And I love that you guys have just like a giant Q&A session. And that I can, like, if I was bored one day and I was like, I really want to understand this, I could just go back and watch a bunch of people's questions, because there's a pretty good chance that some of those people have the same questions that I do. And, it would be nice to see how everybody is kind of also handling it, because I'm sure, like, we're all moving freight. It's not necessarily rocket science. We move it from point A to point B, but, it kind of gets you a feel for how other people are doing it, if there's another way that you could improve something. I feel like that has to be like a really underutilized resource, or maybe not underutilized, but like underhyped resource.
Yeah. And I like it too, because I don't think there's been one session where we haven't gotten together afterwards and said, this question made us think, and we've got to make a change in the product. Maybe it's a slight change, or we've got to do a KB article on this because it's such a good question. And that's another thing we've done with ClassIT Plus is we launch a knowledge base. And in fact, we've just, with the beta, we just launched the knowledge base yesterday, and I think, or today, and it's got like 175 hits already. And so it's like, people are really starting to use the resources. And if the people, like me, I don't like calling support. I want to search myself for the answers. So, we're also looking at the analytics of that. What are people searching for? Again, it's all about getting as much data as possible, and then improving that user experience.
1,000%. Because I also, if I am calling support, I have done every single thing possible. I've turned it off, turned it back on. I've restarted. I've done everything I can do, including go down some weird Reddit forums or other forums that look like they haven't been updated in like 10 years. I have gone down every rabbit hole possible before I have to contact support. And honestly, the fact that that knowledge base is there is just one more step to say, okay, or if I'm still unsure of something, I can bookmark it. I can keep coming back to it to just really make sure I understand it. This has to be probably some of the most comprehensive additional content that comes out with any changes. And for that, I cannot applaud you guys enough. Well done.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I think we have at launch 141 knowledge base articles at beta launch. So I'm excited. I mean, that's pretty unheard of to have 141 knowledge base articles. So I'm super happy about that. And that's without that's at beta start. So I expect that to really increase by production start.
Oh, I would imagine that you're going to double that in no time.
Yep. Agreed.
So, gentlemen, we are coming towards the end of our time today. And Keith, since you are new on this show, you're going to skip over our traditional question and we're just getting straight into it. So, Joe and Keith, Joe, I'll start with you. If animals could talk, which one do you think would be the most annoying?
I'd have to say a cat because I have a cat and just the attitude of the cat. If that cat could talk, I just can't imagine what the cat would have to say. Just the cat's behavior is annoying enough. So I would say my cat.
Keith, what about you?
I thought about it. I was thinking about this, and I'm going to go with a mosquito. I think they already sound annoying enough when they are in my ear, and so I'm going to go with mosquito. I think, and I'm from Minnesota, so they're bad enough up here already.
I don't even know what a mosquito would say other than just like run around being like blood, 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 blood.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. If anyone has any extra questions, is there anywhere else they can find you guys outside of the nmfcchanges.com and the getclassification.com?
You can get to me on LinkedIn. We also do live traveling. So we'll be at Home Delivery World next week or the week of the 20th. And, look at, you see an events page on our on nmfta.org. And so we travel quite a bit. So always feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn also.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
You can find Check Call the Podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcast and Spotify. Need more running and nice news? No sweat. Subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/checkcall. See you on the internet.